Hey everybody, Jason Davis here on Davis Upfront Compass Football, talking football every day, whenever we get a chance, right here on Compass Football. Make sure you hit subscribe and like on Facebook and YouTube, and we'll be coming to another platform near you in the very near future. Let's get into it today. We've got a good chat coming up with Nipun Chopra about the Premier League season, because even though the World Cup just ended, and most of us have not recovered from that tournament coming to an end, we do have to talk about an upcoming European season across the continent. Europe is getting underway with preseason training for a number of clubs, traveling all over the world. The Premier League is no exception. We'll talk to Nipun about a couple of the heavy hitters in the Premier League, maybe a couple of the title contenders, depending on how you see it. But we will start with the world champions, who are back in Paris. They were in Paris on Monday, hanging out at the presidential palace, getting all of that good reception there after lifting the trophy in Moscow. Here's this team, this incredible French team, hanging out, celebrating in front of the presidential palace, singing songs to N'Golo Kante. Pogba singing there to N'Golo Kante. N'Golo Kante, he is small, he is nice, he shut down Lionel Messi. That's a pretty incredible scene there, the presidential palace in Paris. And Pogba went on to celebrate even more with the president of France. This is some of the aftermath of the World Cup championship. Here he is getting Emmanuel Macron, the president of France, to do one of Pogba's favorite dance moves.
President of France, you already know, we're here celebrating, on est là. Ah oui, hein, c'est important, Monsieur le Président. And we get it.
Vous l'avez gagné.
Merci.
Vive la France.
Vive la France, la République. Yes, sir. Et merci. Et merci. Hein. Président, c'est quoi le nouveau geste maintenant? Ah ouais. Dab. Ah oui, hein. Eh oui, Monsieur le Président, dab.
They're dabbing there, getting Emmanuel Macron to do the dab. Paul Pogba has magical powers. I think that's what we know now. It was his show, and he's clearly a leader for this French team. Incredible tournament for Paul Pogba, incredible tournament for France, incredible tournament for Croatia. Even though they lost that game to France, even though they came up short in the final, went back to Zagreb and got their own celebrations. Here's some video from Ivan Rakitic hanging out with, I don't know, thousands of his closest friends there in Zagreb as they welcome home their heroes. Incredible moment for the small nation of Croatia. You saw the president celebrating this World Cup run. They've got quite the thing going on. And some of the best kits in the game. Gotta love the checkers. So from the World Cup, we shift now to the club side. And we talk a little bit about Chelsea today, who introduced a brand new manager. His name is Maurizio Sarri. And he comes with some baggage. Here he is holding up the jersey, getting a little bit of the clicks of the cameras there in London. I was going to give him a little bit of audio, a little bit of, doesn't quite work for Maurizio Sarri. This is a gentleman who at one point was accused of a gay slur by Roberto Mancini and has also dealt with allegations of sexism. In 2016, Mancini accused him of using a gay slur during a Coppa Italia match, and in March, he responded to a female journalist about Napoli's title chances by saying, "You're a woman, you're beautiful, and I won't tell you to bleep off for those two reasons." Now, here are the responses of Sarri when talking about these allegations at this press conference today in London. People make mistakes. One of the mistakes I made was when I was angry. Another was not even a mistake. It was a journalist with whom I shared jokes for 3 years, and it was misconstrued. All right, well, he's trying to dodge that one. He said these mistakes were made, yes, but when someone makes a mistake, they must apologize and accept some allegations can be made by the press. A professional and ethical attitude is very important, more than apologies. And he said these were mistakes, that is for sure. I think those who know me well cannot define me in this way. Homophobic, racist, sexist, absolutely not. I'm an extremely open person. I do not have these problems. I will show this when I'm working here and living here. So there's Maurizio Sarri trying to dodge some of the criticism that's coming as he joins. Now, it's important to note that Sarri did not speak in English when answering these questions. He spoke in Italian. He made a point to do that after starting his conference in English. He made a point to change to Italian because he felt as though he would be understood better. There was some disconnect between what the interpreter was saying to the press there and what Sarri was actually discussing. There's a question of Eden Hazard perhaps leaving, but one thing that was misconstrued was where Sarri wants to strengthen the team. I think he was talking about the midfield, but there was some reports that he was actually talking about defense or the other way around. He was talking about midfield. People thought he was talking about the defensive side of the ball, so it's definitely an issue. All right, that's a good start to Compass Football. Davis up front here. Let's get into this with Nipun Chopra. When we come back, we'll touch on all of the big Premier League stories around Chelsea and around Manchester United. Stay there. Jason Davis back here on Compass Football. Happy to be joined now by our contributor on the Premier League, Nipun Chopra, via satellite. Nipun, the Premier League approaches. We've got preseason underway. We've got a new manager in London, Chelsea, announcing Maurizio Sarri today at a press conference. What do you make of the Italian stepping into the fray here at a club that's notorious for turning over managers?
It's a great introduction to what the Sarri story will be. We'll get to find out if he's an Ancelotti, who's actually replaced him at Napoli, or he'll be a Andrés Villas-Boas, another manager that Chelsea took a risk on because he was supposed to be Mourinho light, and it did not work out well for them. So we don't know what's going to happen with Sarri. He's a manager that's had an unremarkable managerial career, to be honest, except for Napoli. When you go back and look at his other managerial stints at Regina, at Empoli, they've mostly been not great. I don't know how else to describe it. So Chelsea is a big step up for him. Obviously, he had some success at Napoli. He's worked with players like Higuain, Pepe Reina up there that Premier League fans will know as well from his time at Liverpool. But it's a big step up, and working regularly with an owner who is unpredictable, something that he's going to have to get used to. So testing times for Chelsea supporters as well as Chelsea players.
Now, one of the players in question for the future at Chelsea is Eden Hazard. Belgian star, had a great World Cup, had some statements that he might be ready for a move, and obviously Real Madrid, it seems to be in the market for a big-name star. Hazard's sort of getting up there into that echelon of the Messis and Ronaldo of the world. Does he stay at Chelsea? Can Sarri convince him to stay?
Eden Hazard's move to Chelsea has always amused me because he, back in 2012, when he was the most sought-after player in the world, he was flirting with Manchester United and Manchester City and Chelsea and Real Madrid. Until the very last moment, no one knew where he was headed. And I feel like this summer window is going to be similar for Chelsea supporters because, as you hinted at, Jason, after the World Cup, he seemed to suggest that his future was away from Chelsea. But if you listen to Sarri's press conference today, he seemed to suggest that he's looking forward to working with Hazard. He seemed to suggest that Eden Hazard's future is at Chelsea, at least from his perspective. So it remains unclear where he will end up. But if I was a betting man, I would suggest that Eden Hazard will be gone this summer. He's won everything he could, well, really everything he could win at Chelsea. He's had a good career there. He's developed as a player. He's peaking now. As you said, with Cristiano gone, Eden Hazard is going to be one of the top interests of Real Madrid, along with the likes of Neymar and Pogba.
One more thing on Sarri. He does not speak great English. He's going to be taking intensive classes while at Chelsea. The English media loves to eat managers alive, especially if they have trouble communicating. Is this going to be a problem for him? He in his press conference, he went from a little bit of English into Italian because he was worried about being misunderstood.
I think it's not as much of a problem in the modern day, Jason, as it was even 5 years ago. Antonio Conte had similar problems when he first came to Chelsea, and he seemed to get better. I think the language issue will not be as much of a problem now because the English press have got used to having foreign managers and having stuff translated all the time, simply because I can think of maybe 2 English managers in the Premier League now. So it will be a challenge for him, but I don't think it will be prohibitive.
Let's move on elsewhere in the Premier League. Again, the preseason period getting started. Teams around the world traveling to foreign lands to spread their brands, at least those teams that we expect to compete for a title, Nipun. So let's focus on Manchester United a bit. Jose Mourinho going into the new season off a second-place finish, well behind their neighbor City. What's the outlook for Manchester United this season? What are expectations for the special one?
The special one, right? That's a name that I don't think he claims too much anymore. The grumpy one would be a better name for Jose Mourinho now. I don't know what the outlook is, because I was able to listen to his first press conference of the year today out in LA. That Man United is at UCLA training, and he seemed to suggest that he doesn't know what's going on with transfers. Obviously, Manchester United has signed Fred, a very talented Brazilian player. Diogo Dalot, who's really a player for the future. He's 19 years old. He's more there to replace Darmian than to start. So he's more of a squad player at this point. And of course, Lee Dixon, the backup goalkeeper, the backup to the backup goalkeeper, has been signed as well. So really, Fred is the only player that enhances the first team, or even the first team squad, really significantly. Which means when you look at what the signings Liverpool has made and is about to make, Naby Keita is official. Fabinho, who probably is one of the best signings of the season. Alisson, the goalkeeper, is very close. You look at Manchester City, we're having signed Riyad Mahrez in a squad that's already blessed with brilliant wingers and inverted wingers. And you see there's a big gap in this Manchester United squad and the rest of the league. So the outlook as of today, Jason, is kind of bleak for Manchester United and Manchester United.
On the transfer front, I mean, incoming transfer, certainly more of interest for United fans right now. In terms of things that might be outgoing, Daley Blind's already gone back to Holland after, I don't know if you would call that a failed experiment. And then Anthony Martial, what's the status with him?
Yeah, I wouldn't call Daley Blind a failed experiment. I thought he did very well. He was a utility player, so he came in, played center midfield, played left back, played center back, and wherever he was put in, he always gave it his all. And he started Manchester United's final in the Europa League 2 years ago. So he won stuff at United, an FA Cup, Carling Cup, Europa League, not the Premier League though. So I wouldn't say a failed experiment, but I'm sure he would have liked to have won more. And he leaves Man United having the support and the respect of everyone that's working at the club. Tony Martial, as people like to call him, Anthony Martial, is a different story, because people seem to question his loyalty and question his commitment to the club and to the game as well. As things stand, based on Mourinho's press conference today, where he suggested that he expects to have a front three of Martial, not Rashford, but Martial, Alexis Sanchez, who's actually not on tour because his visa was rejected at the start of the season, it seems to suggest that Anthony Martial's immediate future, at least, is at Man United. We know, Jason, that at this time last year, Inter Milan were willing to part with Ivan Perisic if Anthony Martial was a part of the deal. Now, with the tournament Perisic had, I wouldn't be surprised if that comes back onto the table.
Very interesting stuff indeed. We'll have to take a look at the rest of the Premier League at a later date with Nipun Chopra from Compass Football, who joins us now. Thank you so much for the time, Nipun.
Thank you, Jason.